Hi everyone, today I'm sharing my journey of becoming a software engineer in 2024. This isn't your typical do this 5 steps and you're in kind of story. I'm here to talk about the real challenges, the pivotal moments, and the unique decisions, or maybe not so unique but kind of obvious, that made this possible. What you'll hear is a complete, transparent, and honest account, no sugarcoating. If you are looking for actionable advices, practical steps, and fresh, no nonsense perspective on breaking into tech, you're in the right place. But firstly, before we dive in, I want to say heartfelt thank you to the most supportive group on the internet, to the IT community. Your comments, videos, advices, and motivational stories kept me going through one of the toughest years of my life. So let's get started. I didn't start as a techie. My background was in teaching German language and philology, with zero technical experience or any kind of skills, maybe just computer literacy. What drew me to programming was stability, growth potential, and of course, the salary. After the time, I was stuck in a job I didn't enjoy, drifting without any kind of direction. I was working mostly as a waiter and bartender in restaurants. I knew I needed an in-demand skill, so I kind of asked myself, what should I do? And why not coding? Because I heard this from every corner. It was really hyped field, and it's still kind of hyped field. And after some research, front-end developing caught my eye. It seemed easier to start with and had a creative, design-focused side that hooked me right away. I took my first shot at learning programming when I was 20 something, like my early 20s, but I gave up almost immediately, convincing myself I was too old and coding was for people who started young. So I thought coding is kind of something for special people, that you need to start it from school or at least from university years. The funny thing, I am now 29 and I've landed my first software engineering job. And now I don't feel old at all, because this is just the beginning. So one of the toughest and hardest part was to choose the right learning plan. I believe this is where most people get stuck. There is an overwhelming amount of advices online, boot camps, self-study, YouTube, and everything in between. My decision was based on two things: its budget and my time. Back in 2022, when I started this journey, I was working full-time as support specialist for international company, which means I didn't have much time, nor I didn't have much money. So I chose self-study with free resources and gave myself circa 3 months to learn the basics. For web, it's of course HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Then I switched to React with TypeScript because at the time I knew that in my company, engineers are using this stack, so React and TypeScript, without any additional stuff for now at least. So it served me kinda as example. I started free Code Academy courses, Coursera ones, Free Code Camp, watched a lot of YouTube tutorials of course, and then I found the Odin project. And this is my favorite. Of course, I recommend to check everything yourself and select the most appropriate based on your needs and time and just personal preferences. But my favorite is Odin project. It has, in my honest opinion, everything you need. All the theory, all the practical steps. You can choose between being a full stack developer and solely web developer, front end. So once again, just go and check it yourself. Then you will understand in which direction you should move. Before we go further, I want to say a few sentences about the mindset. The mindset is everything. You need to be your best friend, your support, cheering you up along the way every single day. Without this, it will be extra hard. I'll be honest, there were days when I felt completely lost. I doubted myself, questioning if I'm too old or if I'm too dumb. I believe the second option is more appropriate. Those thoughts led me to procrastination and missed deadlines all the time on my roadmap. But here's what changed everything. I started, I think it was after one of the countless videos I watched on YouTube. So it was advice as follows: treat coding like building muscles in a gym. So every small effort, like debugging a problem or I don't know, writing few lines of code, writing small application, adds up over time. I stopped comparing myself to others and I focused solely on my own progress. The quote that kept me going was something, I don't remember the original wording, but it was something like, if like even 0.1% of progress a day seems like a joke, but after a year, it's a lot, obviously. Even 5 minutes of coding a day makes a difference. And here is a trick. I'd often tell myself, just code for 5-10 minutes. But once I started, in a lot of cases, I forced myself to start. And once I started, I would end up working for hours and writing code for hours. So give it a try. It works. Another very important aspect of learning how to code and becoming a programmer is focusing on practice. So practice, practice, practice. I'd love to say that I followed my plan perfectly, but the truth is I'm a lazy ass. I fell straight into tutorial hell from the first week, I believe. I was watching shiny motivational videos and it felt like progress, like cartoons for adults, shouting, "You can do it, let's do it!" Like, just do this and that. And it gave me comfort and it gave me confidence. But in reality, it was a fake feeling. I would read some articles, write a few lines of code, and call it a day, basically. In reality, I was wasting my time, or as I like to call it now, warming up. This went for several months, not several, it went for 7 months. And it actually led to burnout. I took a 2 months break, but after the new year, I knew I had to change my approach completely if I wanted to finish what I started. So this time I focused on practice, because once again, you'll be watching definitely a lot of YouTube videos, and number one advice will be focus on practice rather than on theory. So here's what I learned as well. In programming, one of the most important skills, if not the most important skill, is about how you approach the problem. So it's not about writing the perfect code. It's learning how to break down the big unsolvable problem or piece of problem into smaller solvable pieces. So that way it will be way easier for you. And I believe it's the only right way to approach the problem, especially if you're a junior developer like me. So our brain kinda afraid of huge problems and it always leads you to procrastination things. So you need to break down the problem into smaller pieces once again, and then you can solve it pretty easily, just step by step. So, and instead of spending entire evenings watching tutorials, that time I began building small projects, like a weather app, a to-do list, a calculator, landing page for fictional businesses, components working with API. So I believe you also can find a lot of useful resources out there in the internet, and just write something in YouTube like top 10 projects for beginners or top 10, for example, React projects to practice or to start with. So you'll find a lot of examples. I just named the most popular and obvious one. And every step I took there, it felt like guesswork, and it forced me to Google or consult with ChatGPT constantly, because I had no idea what I was doing. And it was painful, obviously. I didn't like it, and no one's like it. That's actually when real learning happened. Once again, because I was forced to read the theory, to debug the problem, and then I understood it deeper. I understood it. That's the most important. I didn't just read and repeat. I just tried to solve the problem. Then I found the information that was useful. And of course, in addition to this information, I read maybe extra 200% of information, which was not relevant, but I don't know, it was part of the article or it was part of some YouTube tutorial. And it also gave me extra, very useful knowledge. So I started finally pushing code to the GitHub, learning how it works. And yeah, it made the difference as well. After 5 months of hands-on practice, everything started to pay off, finally. I wasn't just consuming the information anymore, I was creating, troubleshooting, debugging, building, and then again, you just repeat the loop. So obviously, I learned a lot. By March this year, I started preparing for coding interviews by solving lead code problems, because I knew that everyone will tell you that it starts with some problem-solving interviews, so it was definitely on my list after learning the technical stack, like core concepts, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, React and TypeScript. You need to switch to data structures and algorithms. So I started with lead code, and oh man, honestly, it was brutal. And it was really overwhelming at first. So I switched to Code Wars. It's something easier. It's like the lead code, but simplified, or simply put, some lead code problem which are broken down into smaller pieces and you just solving a piece of problem. Of course, you can increase complexity as well. So after I felt comfortable with Code Wars, I switched back to lead code and started solving at least one problem a day with proper way of solving it. So I tried to solve it myself. When I was stuck, I tried to find some help on the internet, and only as a last resort, I kind of tried to watch a tutorial with explanation how to solve this particular problem, or was trying to do it with ChatGPT. And it's also the hint, if you are solving something with ChatGPT, ask AI to give you hints firstly, not rush into the solution immediately. Try to start with the hints. For example, I don't know how to do this. Give me first hint. And you can, of course, adjust your prompt, like give me non-obvious hint, or give me 50% of the solution, or just follow me in the right direction. So try to use it for learning purposes first, and only as a last resort, take the solution and at least try to understand it. And then maybe after a day, try to repeat it without looking into the solution. So once again, it's all about your knowledge. It's all about your way of understanding things. And in the end of the day, you will be the one who will be passing interviews, and not AI and not the guys from YouTube, obviously. By then, I was over a year into my learning journey, but there was still one huge mistake I kept making. I did not apply for jobs. If I could give you one piece, just one piece of advice, it's this: start applying sooner. Don't wait until you're ready or you're smart enough and you covered all the possible topics, you found all the possible answers. Interviews and the way how you approach it and how you communicate is definitely a skill that you need to practice, just like coding. And I really regret that I did not start it earlier. But to make up for it, I did mock interviews with my girlfriend, with my friends, and just with myself, I don't know, in the Google Meet. So I was just repeating all the advices I heard out there in the internet, and basically try to sound confident and smiley and positive and all this stuff. Eventually, I started applying with fake CV, claiming of 2 years of fictional experience in a startup. Out of 20 applications, I got 3 interviews. I believe it was a pure luck. I failed all 3. And I also got maybe two more responses, but probably I just failed the screen check or something. So maybe my fake CV didn't go further this hierarchy. And the first one, the first interview, it was especially cringy because I was so nervous. I didn't realize that silence is a huge red flag for the interviewers. I learned the hard way that I need to explain my thought throughout the process, and even if I'm stuck, I still need to try to communicate with the interviewer, try to give the direction I'm moving in, and so basically don't be silent. It's also very important. So once again, interviews, it's also a skill that you need to practice, and the sooner you start it, the better. And the final part is the offer and how I actually get this job. So I finally applied for junior front-end developer position at my company. I saw the requisition was opened. I checked with team leaders and with my managers, and they gave me basically green light. And as an internal employee, I luckily had 100% opportunity to participate in the interview and show my skills. I also told that I was learning for 2 years, so I kind of added up a bit, and I showed my projects on GitHub. So the process included three stages, as I thought. So the first one was problem solving, and I solved 2 out of 3 problems. So it was without any kind of interviewer, just HackerRank. And the first task was like an easy problem from lead code. Second one was more like a medium problem, and I solved it. And the third one was hard, definitely hard. And I started solving it, and I was ran out of time. I was given 60 minutes for all the 3 problems, and I once again just solved 2. But fortunately, I solved it, and it was enough for junior position to move further. Then was a technical interview where I had to create a React component, which was interacting with API. It was related to transactions and some currencies conversions, and you need to design it, you need to cover it with unit tests, then of course use all the best practices, and basically so you just code this, you explain your thought process, and you show off your skills. Luckily, I passed this stage, and then behavioral interview or team feed. So it was a call with a project manager of the team, one of the senior devs there, and recruiter. So I would say it was the easiest part because I did not prepare myself a lot. I just told my story, my motivation, why I want to be here, and what value will I bring to the company and to the team. Why basically should they hire me? I waited maybe for a couple of days, and then I got congratulations email with offer, and oh man, it was so surreal. A year and a half of grinding, the hard work, it finally paid off. And yeah, it was good. It still brings a tear to my face. Looking back, here's what I would do differently. Practice. I would definitely focus on practice and building apps much earlier. And I would stop stressing about cutting all the edges and getting everything done before applying to jobs. So I would apply much sooner just to get more experience. Every progress matters. Even if you code it for 5 minutes or 10 minutes a day, it still counts, and it's amazing because you did not miss a day. So just cheer yourself up and go on. Of course, I recommend, not like I recommend, try to have fun, try to enjoy the process. Uh, it's never too late to start, so try to consider it as your hobby. I was thinking about this as my hobby in the beginning, and then when the interview processes started, of course, I was fully focused on it as a goal, but at first it was kind of like hobby because I sacrificed my free time after the job, and it was fun. Yeah, in most of the cases, it was really fun. And remember that coding is not a sprint, it's a marathon. If my story resonates with you, I would love to hear yours. Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you have any questions, I would be really happy to help you with it. Thanks for watching, and I wish you all the best on your journey, on your path, and remember, you will do it.